Go in, both my parents are there. We walk up, doctor of oncology, and puts my x-ray up, tells my parents in the most, some doctors don't have any bedside manner.
Or tact.
Your son has cancer. We don't know how much time he has left because we know that he has lymphoma.
Athletes, entrepreneurs, and those who've embraced the necessary change for the better. They've endured, discovered, rebuilt. But what about you? Are you waiting for life? Or is life waiting for you? This is the Come Up.
What's up, guys? Octavio here with the Come Up, and today is very special for me because I get to actually share some space with my business partner, friend, brother, Dr. H. Khatami. And I say H because I always mess up his name after 12 years of marriage.
Yes, after all this time. It's only been 5 years.
More, but it's fine.
My name ends in an M, not in an N. H is good.
I like H. I didn't fuck it up. I didn't fuck it up. It's good.
We're good.
No, man, it's always good to hear. But I think so as you know, I'm the outgoing big personality at FTX, and you are basically the guy that controls everything else.
Yin and yang, man. I mean, it's give and take. I think 90% of the time it's, what have you always said? You're the go, and I'm the wait
down.
Well, wait until all of a sudden I become the go, and all of a sudden, just in that moment, all of a sudden you're the hold up. Don't go.
Let's not shoot anybody. Let's slow it down.
Exactly.
But it works. It's one of those relationships we've learned how we've grown together.
Absolutely.
And it's funny. So today I want you to tell, first of all, your story. I think one of your stories. Your story is one of those amazing, non-quit, the come up, resilient of every trial and tribulation you've gone through in your life, to being the great person that you are today. So I want to start with, I'm grateful of having you in my life, having your kids in my life, your wife Bailey. It makes my life better when you're around.
Thanks, buddy.
That being said, I'm gonna have very, very, very so much fun. The next hour, it's gonna be great. But let's start with you.
So that was the positive.
That was the positive. Now we're gonna go into the real deal. But
right,
man, let's start off with your 12. Right, because you got hit with something that most people never get hit.
So little later than that, I was 16, and I was a healthy kid, athletic. And I was always playing basketball, soccer. I always played multiple sports, and like I said, I was always healthy. One night, my mom just comes over, gives me a hug. Oh, you feel hot? Like, let me take your temperature. I have a 103 temperature. I'm just walking around. I just felt tired. I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, felt pretty good. Yeah. Takes me to the emergency room because I'm basically cooking. And we wait
yourself.
Yeah. wait, and it's flu season. The doctors are busy. They stop and see me for a couple minutes. Say it's the flu. Take some medicine. Follow up with your primary care. You'll be fine. So a couple of days goes by. Temperature's still fluctuating, going up to 103. Take me to my primary care. She says, guess what she says? It's the flu. It's the flu. She has a waiting room full of patients. Go home, keep the medicine. It'll be fine.
Drink water.
Go back again. Still having this temperature. We realize it's not really changing when I'm taking the medication. It's going up and down by itself. I started getting night sweats.
Fun.
We go back into the doctor. She's just like nasty at this point. Like, you're wasting my time. Like, why are you coming in? I told you it's the flu. It's going to take a couple of weeks. That's just this year's strain. My mom's an engineer. She has no idea about anything but medicine, but just full on just says, listen, I'm not leaving this office without a chest x-ray. doctor's like, no, he doesn't need one. I'm not writing a prescription for that. My mom said, we're not leaving until he gets a chest x-ray. She basically says, okay, if I write the script, will you guys leave? Okay. Next day we get a call. I get the chest x-ray. Next day we get a call from her nurse. She doesn't even have the presence of decency, whatever, to call herself, says, you need to get to a specialist. This is the doctor that we work with usually. You're going to see him today or tomorrow. I don't remember what it was. Go in, both my parents are there. We walk up, doctor of oncology, and puts my x-ray up, tells my parents in the most, some doctors don't have any bedside manner.
Or tact.
Your son has cancer. We don't know how much time he has left because we know that he has lymphoma. About 75% of my chest was mediastinum, we call it, between my heart and my lungs, was just covered in cancer. All my lymph nodes were huge, and said, well, it could be Hodgkin's, which it is. We got a little bit of time because it grows a little bit slower. Could be non-Hodgkin's. We don't know how much time he has left. Imagine my parents, they have no, I'm the only child now. Imagine.
Yeah, I can't.
Like,
I don't even want to.
Right? And so they immediately put me into Delray Medical, and they want to do the biopsy. My biopsy gets put off for 3 days because of emergency surgery. So my parents are sitting there by my side, not knowing if this cancer is getting me away. And they get so upset, they take me out of the hospital and take me down to Jackson Memorial, which I still think to this day is why I'm alive. Just to get a biopsy, this is how outdated Delray Medical was. They were going to crack my chest, open me up just to get a small, basically open up my sternum. The doctor said the recovery is going to take longer. We don't know when we'll be able to start chemo, depending on how long it takes you to recover. But like, what does this make sense? So went down to Jackson, I have 3 small holes in my back, went through a lung, and that was it. We found out it was Hodgkin's. Basically got treated for the next 4 months, very, very, very intense chemo, radiation, and I came out still here, thankfully, and that part of that experience, being in the hospital after the biopsy, was when I was in a lot of pain, and I was trying to work through it. They had me on morphine. But one night I finally got to sleep. The nurse actually woke me up to ask me if I wanted my next dose. And I sort of got upset in that moment because I'm like, I was finally asleep. Why did you wake me up? And she was just looking back. She was just following doctor's orders. But man, morphine felt amazing. So like that was my like tangent. I could have gone in a completely different direction. But that's when, when we've talked about FTX all this time later, that's been sort of my experience with how it feels to be in that mindset for that short period of time. But yeah, so that whole experience it changed my perception of everything. Yeah, you just, as much as it can for a 16, 17-year-old, school now, as much I was straight A student, all of a sudden I'm just like, all right, well, I don't really want to study anymore because I almost just died, and I want to be with my friends and don't really care about what I'm going to do in the next 4 years because I almost just lost everything. So in that way, there's a lot of positives to that. There's a lot of negatives to that. Positives being it takes a lot to really get me stressed at this point because
I can do it very easily.
But yes, well, you fucking know my buttons. Thank you very much, sir. But the negatives is there are times where you have to focus on the small things where that will make that difference, and you need to put that time in, but it's hard to balance, why am I doing this? Am I wasting my life doing this? Or do I need to batten down the hatches, really focus on this right now and make it happen so that we can have enjoyment, fulfillment, providing, during that stage.
Okay. So you survive death
Yeah.
at 16. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
So you got this new perspective in life saying, hey, these are kind of really don't care about school right now. I want to just enjoy life. I almost died.
Right.
When did you make that switch again? Like, hey, man, maybe I want to be a doctor or a chiropractor, or how does that come to play? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was in college. First year in college was hard because I was in the IB program. I went to UF with more than 60 credits, and the guidance counselor, the academic advisor in that moment, said, "Wow, you have a terrific transcript. We're just going to put you in these junior level classes." And I was on the pre-med track, even at that point.
Is that what you wanted to be, though?
I want to be a doctor. I want to either be an orthopedist or a pediatrician because of the doctor that healed me, that gave me my remission, which was Dr. Stuart Toledano. He always had a full waiting room of pediatric cancer patients, but when you finally got in there, he sat on his desk. My mom and dad could ask 100 questions. He never rushed them. He knew in that moment how important that time was to give those parents the fulfillment of getting everything answered. And that's what I've molded the way I treat around. That's why I don't never double book patients. When I say that you're gonna have an appointment at a certain time, you're going to, and that I want to give that time, because that's the most precious thing that you can give someone at the end of the day is your attention, your time for that moment. So because of that experience, I knew that I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't know exactly what kind, but I knew I wanted to be that doctor. But going down that route, that first year was insane. All of a sudden, I was basically taken care of. I was even more taken care of after that cancer experience. So going into taking care of myself, that first year at UF was like, what the hell is going on? And, I did not do well. I did not do well at all, to the point where the academic counselors came in and was like, listen, we think you need to switch over to like history or something, like help your GPA. And I did for a semester. Got on the dean's list, and they're like, you should stay here. I'm like, screw you.
I'm trying to be a doctor.
Exactly. So that's when I went back to the pre-med route and did great after that point, got back on track and graduated. And I actually, one of the things that kids going to med school do to help with their transcript when they're applying to med schools is work in hospital settings.
Right.
So the hospital up at UF is Shands, and I got a lot of kids will, to get those volunteer hours, will work with the neonatal unit, because they need people to help hold babies,
right.
Which is all well and good. That's great to be able to do that. But what are you really getting out of that to tell you that medicine is the right thing for you? Something that got almost no volunteers just because people are uncomfortable with was the pediatric oncology unit. So that's where I went and worked for 2 years. And one of the things that you realize is when you're in that world is some of those patients are there for years. Some of the most profound conversations I had was when I had cancer and I was waiting to see Dr. Toledano, and you talk to a 4-year-old that could pronounce the name of all of her chemotherapeutic drugs because she's been getting treated since she was 8 months old.
Jesus.
Again, tells you what's important in life, right? So working in that space, the parents seeing how I was with their kids, playing with them, talking to them, it was an awesome experience. I got to go on rounds with the head of pediatric oncology at UF at that point, and he was the one that actually sat me down and said, do you think med school is the way that you want to go? To which I'm like, what did I do wrong? Why are you asking me this? And he said, basically, when I went on rounds, I would slow him down because I wanted to stay in those rooms just like Dr. Toledano did and talk everything out, make sure everything was good before we went to the next room. And he's like, listen, you're not going to be able to do that for like 10 years. Like, is there something else that you would want to do? Check out osteopathy, being a DO, or chiropractic. And one of the things I either want to be a pediatrician or an orthopedist. So obviously osteopathy, chiropractic, they were still in that world. I had a family friend who was a chiropractor, spoke to him, got to follow him a little bit. I'm like, I could do this. Cool. I could make my own thing with this, still doing what I want to do and help people the way I want to help. And that's when I decided to go to chiropractic school.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you learn something every day. Too bad you went to UF, but it's okay.
Jeez, come on, man.
That's number one zinger of this hour. It's going to come constantly, so just get used to it.
Yes.
Know, that big loss
you
took was a devastating one for you and great for LSU.
Just so you guys know, we have a yearly bet, and whoever wins, when we shared an office, that team got stuff all over the office for that year and had to stare at it. Thankfully, we don't share offices anymore, or else LSU stuff would be all over the office right now. Yes.
The whole floor. But now that we're on separate floors, we're good.
Yes.
So let's move on. So you choose chiropractic school.
Yeah.
So now here comes the entrepreneur side that I think a lot of doctors aren't the best at.
Right.
Right? So here's this thing, and we've talked about this over and over again, right? That medicine or some medical providers don't have any idea how to run a business.
Right.
Right? Because they're not taught that. We're
taught how to be doctors and heal people. We're not taught how to be business people.
Exactly. So let's go through that change for you, because you graduated and you bought into a business, or you...
So about halfway through school, I got the offer from that family friend who said, listen, by the time that you're going to graduate, I'm going to be ready to basically retire, come back to Florida, we'll work together 4 to 6 months, get the patients to know you, and then you can buy me out. Everything will be fine from that point on. Unfortunately, I graduated in 2008 when the shit hit the fan with the economy. So that doctor's plans went out the window as far as retirement, and all of a sudden it wasn't me taking over, it was me staying on as an associate, and it just did not work out. So I said, you know what, this wasn't the plan, but I'm going to go start my practice pretty much right off the bat. So I graduated in August of 2008 and started Atlantic Grove January of 2009. And so at that point, the hardest thing was just getting a bank loan. And
because you have no credit.
I've got no credit.
You barely got an IEN.
Yeah, I've got student loans. Bailey at that point doesn't have a job. We have her student loans. We've got my student loans, and please give me money. The economy's shit, but
help me.
Yeah, exactly. And
you make it happen.
Yeah, got a good business plan in. A banker went out on a limb, gave me a business loan, and I just busted ass. It was just talk to as many people as I could, and I had a different way of treating that,
which we'll get into.
Seemed to reverberate with a lot of people, and it was never the intent. It's being in South Florida, it's very easy to build a Medicare-based practice with the elderly population, but that was never something I wanted to do. So building up the sports from the beginning was something that was my intention. I knew that it was going to be more difficult because of the patient population I had around me, but that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I was dedicated to accomplish.
Well, you've been very successful at it. Let's start off with, you're the team chiro for FAU.
Right.
You're the team chiro for Lynn.
Yes.
When we were in partnership with them, but
right.
And you're also the what do you call it for Pepsi?
Corporate physician for
Pepsi.
Right.
And so on and so forth, right?
Right.
All right, so you're the corporate physician for Pepsi.
Right.
And you CrossFit.
Right.
All right, so here's where our lives cross, right? So I drank the juice, right? I was deep in CrossFit, live and die CrossFit, CrossFitting every day, best shape of my life.
Right.
But I couldn't move my right shoulder.
Right.
Constantly.
Right.
And somebody recommended you.
Yes.
Because you were the chiropractor for that box.
Yes, Mr. Sortwell. All right.
Yeah. Sorwell, and then we had Matt and Rebecca.
Yes.
So you were just, everybody was like, go to Khatami, he's the best.
Right.
And so forth. But I think the difference between, because I'm going to be honest with you, we've had this conversation, I didn't believe in chiropractic.
Right.
Right. I was like, they're quacks.
Right.
Until
I don't blame
your ass. So I was like, no, what's that gonna do? Whatever. I meet you, all of a sudden you make me cry.
Right.
There's a certain amount of movements and manipulations.
Right.
And you approach your whole system's completely different.
Right.
You hate manipulating. You hate adjusting.
Right.
So you're a chiropractor that doesn't like to adjust too much.
It is because every specialty has its tools that they're supposed to utilize to get people better. One of the things that we see with medical doctors is that sometimes they overprescribe. Chiropractors overadjust. If you've got one tool that's a hammer, everything's going to look like a nail. So it's not that I hate adjusting. It just, for me, it's way overutilized. So where I started to see, where I started to question in school was, why did people have to keep coming back to get adjusted?
Over and over.
And I asked my attending that question, and he sort of danced around the answer, never really gave me a good one. And so that's when I started doing my own research and realized, and asked myself the question one day, well, what is pulling the bones out of place? It's the soft tissues, it's the tendons, muscles, ligaments, fascia. So if you fix that, if you figure out where the imbalance is, fix that, a lot of times the bones take care of themselves. You don't have to go back in and adjust them. So that's where I spend my time in the evaluation, the history, to find out where are those imbalances. And once we can ascertain what those are, get those taken care of, a lot of things you start getting a good domino reaction where the muscles start getting much more balanced. The neurological part of it, you get better muscle firing, more activation, and across the board, they start moving better. And it's about, for me at that point, it's attacking the dysfunction, not the pain. Because if you just go, if you would have told me, your pain was in the front of your shoulder, if I would have gone there and been like, oh, it's like biceps tendonitis, that's not where it was. It was in the back of your shoulder. You had this huge issue with your rotator cuff back here, and release that, and all of a sudden you start moving again. So it's about finding that dysfunction and treating that underlying root. That's what I at least try and find.
So you I think with CrossFit, a lot of chiros and physical therapists, you see all that approaching boxes, approaching gyms now because they're becoming a part of this whole functional movement. How do you say
mechanism
that's happening now in functional gyms, right? Ever since CrossFit, everything's more functional.
Right.
It's always been there, but now it's looked upon a lot more. It's in the world's eye.
It's mainstream.
Right.
Right.
I'll completely go there now. And then we start talking about, man, should we go into business? Because I'm in a situation right now, there's a hole we could get in, and we decide, sure, let's try. Mm-hmm. So then we started FCX Wellness.
Right.
Out of your old office.
Right. Basically.
That was headquarters for almost a year.
Right.
Year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 years later, we have our own building.
Build from there, yeah.
And we just took gamble after gamble, and you had to choke me a couple of times. I've wanted to choke you about 20 times, but It's growth, right? You've taught me how to communicate, right? You're like, breathe, use your words instead of choking.
Right.
But I've had, we've had similar, all right, we need to slow down, we need to do this, we need to do that. But I think when it comes to being an entrepreneur or something like that, you were your own owner, because you owned the AGC.
Right.
And I owned the Oxfit at the time, solely. We didn't have partners. We were
decision makers.
We were the chiefs of chiefs.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have to ask questions. And now I'm like, yo, what do you think about this? Which is great sometimes.
Right.
Because I'll text you in the middle of the night or at butt crack of dawn.
Right.
At 4 o'clock in the morning, like, yo, I got a great idea.
Right.
And then you're like, well, maybe, but what about if we do this? Or that's a terrible idea. Shut up. Right. So I think a lot of people don't know how intertwined the partnership in business is. Because it's not only, dude, you've seen some. So everybody knows that I relapsed, and for you've never had a close friend that was in recovery or went that deep and now sober. You just had a business partner. This business partner told you openly he's in recovery.
Right.
Then he relapses.
Right.
And you're like, oh, crap.
Right.
How do you do it? How do you engage it?
Right.
I was like, dude, we just got to work through it. We talk about it.
Right.
We put some stipulations of what happens. Here we do. But you were maybe the second call after my family, like, yo, man, I'm going to rehab again.
Yeah.
And we're like, thank God.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anything you need, if Robin needs anything, please call. We got your back. And that's great. We've become family when it comes to that. But we also are the ones like, I'm going to kill this guy if he doesn't open his eyes. Like, I think people jump into business really, really quick and don't know that you're basically marrying
somebody. It's a marriage. It's for sure a marriage.
Full-blown marriage.
Right.
And it's not short-term because dissolving a company is not easy.
Right.
Or if it's taking out loans, or if it's taking out so many variables come into play that.
I mean, it's so like a marriage, because any good marriage is built on good communication, and any good partnership is built on good communication. Because if that communication there, on the marriage end, if it's not there on the partnership end, you start developing these negative feelings that don't have an outlet, and all of a sudden they will blow up at some point.
Yeah.
So that was something that
we
always tried to build on and get better at. And as time has gone on, there's been massive shifts where we're just much better communicators than we were when we started. And it's not that, we had these huge blowups at the beginning, which is why I remember how much I told people, like, it's freaky how well we meshed, where when you were high, I was low. When I was high, you were low, and we would basically bring each other to the middle. But from there, there can always be an evolution. There can always be a way to make things better. And across the board, the way that we've communicated, not only with each other but also obviously our staff, that's always been something that we could work on, that we could get better at, has gotten just so much better as time has gone on.
Yeah, I would agree. We've gotten better at leading. Because my way of leading is completely different from your way.
Right.
Right. And so I'm like, look, you're gonna take care of this. You stay on your street, I stay on my street. We'll meet at the end of the street, and see what happens. Right. But then it's more like, hey man, I got a suggestion, or you're blowing this. This is not working. We need to switch something now. I need you to handle this. You own it. I'll own this.
But it's that honesty and communication.
Right. Like, dude, I dropped the ball on this. There's no way I can handle this. You need to take it.
For sure.
Okay. Which is cool, because I don't like saying that I suck at something. Right.
Who does?
Well, some people do. Right. I don't. I know for me, I admit now where I completely drop a ball, and I'm like, dude, I need some help. But now you're the official wordsmith. I call you wordsmith, and we'll tell the reason why, because I hate writing emails. And you're a lot more subtle with words.
Right. Diplomatic.
I just want to say obscenities. And
here's the I'm going to hit you with a mallet over your head. Okay. Wait.
What do you want to say?
Let's put it this way.
What do you want to say? I want to say this, and this, and then we go on. But that's how we have attacked all this, right?
Absolutely.
And then two things have happened during where, for the gym upstairs, like, opportunities have come more and more as we've done the right thing. Right. So we started in your little 1,200 square feet office. Right. I was training out of a gym. We would sublease, like, we would pay rent at another gym to train our clients. We were only mobile, right? And we're like, dude, how do we have 37 employees and we don't even have an office? How is our overhead 40 G's? Right. And we don't get paid. Right. There were so many things that were happening that we're like, dude, we gotta stop cowboying. Then we got some mentoring.
Huge.
Which.
Thank you, Ken.
And we got some direction on how to go at this, right? And we had these dreams of, we would have like 10 FTXs by now. And we decided, no, let's master this one. And after we master it, we'll move forward. That was 3 years ago. We're still mastering this one.
It was a little embarrassing firing our entire San Diego team right after we'd hired them. But, it happens. And that was probably the best advice that we had, because we had too much on our plate. We were trying to do too much at that point. And coming back into focus, and after that meeting, being able to say, like, listen, we need to own what we're doing here. And once we have the recipe perfected, at that point,
we can move forward.
Exactly.
And like any new business, man, we were making moves, shooting from the hip. What was
for sure.
We were cowboys.
Yeah, we're cowboying.
Yeah. That missed.
Yeah.
That missed too. But again,
especially like having easy business questions asked of us and us looking,
knowing your numbers. We had no idea what our numbers were.
No idea.
We didn't have any idea what KPIs were.
Yeah, everything was just like growth. Like, okay,
we just want to grow.
How much did we add? How much did we add?
Right. Now we're being more efficient than ever. We understand our centers. We understand our business. We understand what our key clientele is.
Right.
And we pinpoint where we want to go. Mm-hmm. Which is fun because we're 5 years in and now we are at a 30,000 square foot facility.
Right. It's amazing. How'd that happen?
Your second son was born when we opened.
Yeah. Great timing.
That was great. Sweet.
Right.
And he's awesome. You know, both boys are great. They're better versions of you. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course, the first people that would say that are my parents, who Bailey loves to tell me, you're one notch lower on that totem pole now. I hope you know. Yeah, I know.
Oh, no. Well, I experience that every day now with Francisco. So.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
But, dude, it's crazy how we've gone from we were patient-client, buddies, business partners. At one point, we were like, what the hell are we going to do? We're on the balance every month. Should we just do it? Do we keep on going? Mm-hmm. And when I want to drop all, you pick up. And we're like, screw this thing. We hate each other. Let's do it. We're like, no. Let's just keep on going. Right. And it's the entrepreneur cycle of no one believes in you. Mm-hmm. Just us. We've had points where both our wives are like, screw this.
Exactly.
Right? We're like, we got to keep going. We got this. We're so close.
Right.
And then we're there, and then something else happens, and then you gotta keep grinding, keep going at it. And some days we're like, dude,
and that's all it is.
I'm exhausted, right?
And and thankfully, I don't know how it's worked out like this, but when one of us is overwhelmed, like I said a couple of times already, when one of us is overwhelmed, the other one brings that one up, and it's been that continuous process. And thankfully, we don't have nearly as many of those moments anymore. It's just been a really great experience and a great path for me. Despite everything that we've gone through, it's just you grow from it, right? It's one thing when everything comes easily, but I know everything is that much sweeter when you've worked as hard as we have at building something like, because again, and again, with no ego, what we're building, there's no book on. So we're writing the book on how to build FTX as this multidisciplinary, attacking the patients and clients that we are and the way that we are. And when there's not a book and you are writing the book, you're making all those mistakes that no one else has had to make, or where you've been able to learn from. So it makes it that much sweeter at this point when we're able to figure it out.
Like, I love our Christmas, Christmas dinners are super cool. Like, we used to meet at a little Mike's Sub Shack.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now, we have a conference room. Mm-hmm. So there's so many great things. We have, now we're talking about how we had both our athletes, big athletes in here today. Like, we had world class, Go Golf. We had world champion Kamaru, who's been here. Mm-hmm. And those are just typical Thursday around here now. Right. But it's of the thing of our values that have gone in and our work ethic, right? Because I'm here at 6, but then you're here till 7, 8 p.m.
Right.
And vice versa. Like, hey, what are you doing? And he's the only one on this planet that can make me get out of bed at 9 p.m. to go lock a door.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, I haven't slept.
I did that, yeah.
Wait, with the newborn. He's like, can you go lock? I'm like, no. He's like, do it. I'm like, I hate you. But those are our conversations, right? And it's funny, and I think it's underplayed because people are like, hey man, let's start a business.
Right.
And I think we winged it, and we're here. Like, through thick and thin, we've had each other's back, but it's not easy. Like, I think it's just as hard as a marriage. Mm-hmm. Because we hear it at home, but then we got to come here. We're like, dude, this isn't working.
Right.
We need a pivot.
Right.
How do we do it?
Right.
And then we've surrounded ourselves, I think, with a great staff now that we trust 95% of. Right?
Absolutely. It's instilling what helped us get to this point in our careers, what helped you grow Octavio, what helped me grow Atlantic Grove, which is education and communication, right? So what happened last year? All of a sudden we tell the entire training staff, hey, listen, all you have to get CSCSs. We're stepping up our game. These are the level athletes that we're working with. These are the universities that we're working with. We need to increase our legitimacy on what we're doing with everyone. And what happens? We do that. One goes to Georgetown, gets hired by Georgetown.
And the other one
goes to Louisiana Tech. So it's amazing that the hard work that they put in, they were able to get their CSCS. They were able to put their resume out for the work that they did at FTX and look great enough that these major institutions thought, you know what? I want them to help us. And that makes me feel good.
It's
and
awesome.
Makes me think like we're doing something right.
I think we are. I think the future of FTX is amazing. It's a legacy we've always talked about leaving. And then the other thing that you started and put the ball rolling was with FTX Scholarship Recovery through Repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Shameless plug and sponsor of our podcast right here. But it's something that it's not going after the dime. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you were never in the recovery community. Now you're embedded. Mm-hmm. Like you're deep into it now. Like you're always at every event. You support everything that I've done. I left for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
And you picked it up.
Yeah.
So
that's what you do.
It's what we had to do.
Yeah.
But we did it with a smile. Now people always ask us why FTX is the hub. I was like, it's not the hub. It's just we want that energy around us.
Right.
We believe in people, and we want them to feel as better every day as possible.
I'd like to think that there's a culture of what can I do for you out of the people in this building, not what can you do for me. Right. So when people sense that, they know that there's good intent and that they want to be part of that community. They want to be part of that family. You love talking about family, right? And that's really what we want to have, not only with our staff, but with the clients that come here, with the recovery community that comes in. One of the reasons that we came into a location like this was we were instilling so much faith and thankfulness in the patients that we were treating on the recovery side, that once they graduated out of the program, they wanted a place that they can come back to if they were staying in town, right? Mm-hmm. So being able to come back, with the amazing work that Jeremy's done with Recovery Through Repetition and that Friday night workout, and now the yoga that we do on Wednesdays that Robin started, it's great to be able to be a safe place where everyone can come together and be part of that family, be part of that community.
Well, I think your story's amazing. I love you. And
love you too, buddy.
Yeah, I do. As much as I want to punch you all the time. No, you can chomp on the wall. The Mighty Bayou Bengals show. There's mighty way of winning. Over, and the natural state is so.
Just wait till the SEC championship.
Football gods have spoken this year. It doesn't matter.
We're gonna spank Georgia.
Okay. And hey, dude, I would love to meet you again at the SEC.
I hope when this comes out, we've actually spanked Georgia.
There's only one thing better than beating you once a year, and it would be twice.